Hi everyone. Our topic of discussion today is the role of economic sanctions in international relations. But before that, let me introduce our members. I am Saida.
Hi, my name is Ismail Hakimi.
Hi, I'm Cao Tong.
Hi, I am Hasmadi.
Well, sanctions are actions taken by countries or organizations to influence other nations without using force. They usually target a country's economy, leaders, or industries. We will talk about how sanctions are used as a foreign policy tool, their impact on the economy, how effective they are in reaching political goals, the unexpected effects they can cause, and the legal and ethical issues involved. Let's begin our discussion.
And first, the topic is about section as a foreign policy tool. As a mean of foreign policy, section as a non-monetary tool used by a country to influence, punish, or pressure another country or a specific individual or group, with the purpose of asking the target party to change its policy behavior, which is aligned with the interest of the section's party or international involves. Sections are the restrictive policy means imposed by one or more countries on another country. The type of sections are divided into economic section, management section, diplomatic section, personal sections, and cultural and sports sections.
So there is some impacts of sanction on targeted country. For example, is first is GDP inclines or the national income is decline, and then a sectoral collapse. For example, if the country mainly produce oil, it is not gonna have much more to import, and the export will be failed. And then for the stock market and money problem, so there's a few countries that have a stock market problem like Russia and Iran. They have very a lot of money problem. So next. So impact to the human life, there is more poverty and inequality to the country like Iran, Venezuela, and North Korea. And then there is also a human effect in, of course, mostly and mainly on health and education. So on the health effects, so the child death is rose by 140% near mines due to block in mineral trades. So for education, yes, of course, in Iran, kids spend less time in school and families cut education spending by most than half, all cost to the sanction. So next slide. So there is also some other hidden effect like political and social impact. So there is more control by the government because the government are playing narrative. They are talking like they are blaming outsider and tied in their power, their grip on power in the country. And then sometimes it pushes for a change, maybe a coup d'etat, a change of government, and all these transformational changes. And then how will country adapt? They'll find a new partners, maybe BRICS, maybe China, Russia, all the key player, and then they maybe change their economy. They try to make more goods at home instead of importing. So what do you guys think?
I agree with you. Of course, the most important things is the impact and effect of section, which can be divided into economic impact, social and human impact, and political impact. The economic impact is dominatory inflation and currency depreciation. Frequent economic erosion in section the country related to GDP decline. Now, for example, the main purpose of economic and financial section against the inroad is to provide inroad from developing in new weapons. The social and human influence have led to a strategy of education and infrastructure, short of import medical care and public insatisfaction in section countries, such as Europe in the 1990 years. So, I think although sections are diplomatic tool and they will also bring harm to ordinary people. So, and I think this is my part. Penny.
I think I agree with you. At the end of the day, maybe the impact may be negative, but it is still a tool for foreign policy. So yeah, the impact is very showing the dark side of the human nature. So maybe we can talk about the effectiveness.
Thank you, Hasmadi. So now we look into how can sanctions are effective in achieving political goals. So sanctions can be really effective in achieving political goals by creating economics and political pressures on targeted governments, pushing them to change certain policies. They are often used to address issues like human rights violations or aggressions. So do you guys really think that sanctions are really effective?
I'm not sure because as we all know, Malaysia have been doing sanction to the Israel for quite a long time, and still there is no stop to the war. Just some ceasefire.
Thank
Yeah,
you
as
for
you
your guys'
agree.
opinion. So sanctions can be really effective when multilateral targeted and goal driven, but others says it's really that not effective to achieve political goals. So Sanctions can be effective when it have clear objectives, have strong international support, and when the targeted countries relies heavily on international trade like Russia. However, it can be ineffective when targeted states may find way for sanction evasions. Second, shrinking international support due to humanitarian and ethical concerns. And then lastly is the sanction country adapted to the sanctions by developing new solutions like Iran. Yeah, so that is the effectiveness and the ineffectiveness of the sanctions. So next we move to Sai.
All right, thank you, Isnur. And I'd like to add that sanctions can lead to many unintended consequences. Even though the goal is to pressure governments, the people usually suffer the most. For example, in Iran, US sanctions caused a shortage of special medical bandages, and some children with a rare skin disease actually died because of this. That's heartbreaking. Sanctions can also disrupt global markets. When the West sanctioned Russia, Russia shifted its oil trade to countries like China and India. This affected global oil prices and trade patterns. Another consequences is the creation of alternative financial systems. Countries like Russia and China started building their own payment system to avoid depending on the West. This can weaken systems like SWIFT. While sanction aims to change behavior, they can hurt innocent people and also reshape the global economy in unexpected ways. That's why these effects must be considered carefully. Yeah.
Oh, so I guess the sanctions are really bad to the nations.
Yeah.
So thank you, Sai. Thank you. Now we look into legal concerns regarding sanctions. There are several legal concerns on sanctions, such as lack of a central enforcement authority, the legitimacy of sanctions, and potential for abuse. This is the most concerns as some countries may use it for political advantage that could affect equity, legality, and justice. On the other hand, some argue that sanctions violated human rights because it discriminates and harm people. So in this part, we will talk about ethical concerns regarding sanctions. So may rise that people may assume that sanctions are really harm to the innocents, and maybe the distribution of harms are not really quietly fairly distributed between the rich and the poor people. So that is the ethical concerns regarding the sanctions. So now we have explored the role of economic sanctions in international relations, from their use as a foreign policy tool to their economic impacts on target countries. Sanctions are a powerful yet complex instrument as a global citizens. Understanding their implications help us navigate the challenges of international cooperation, justice, and diplomacy in an increasingly interconnected world. So that's it from us. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.